Can everyone see my screen? Great, outstanding. Okay, this is meant to be a professional discussion. If you guys want to take yourselves off of mute and ask questions as we go, that would be fantastic. I've got 11 slides to go through, and I'm going to show you a way. Okay. All right. So this is me. I'm a retired lieutenant colonel. You can see the wall behind me and all the "I love me" stuff, right? Which is obligatory. Once I moved into from the family office into my own office when COVID started. I retired after a 21-year career in the United States Army in 2016. Um, I thought I knew what I wanted to do, and I was locked in. I was all good. And then I realized that I was going to be a member of the 75 to 85% of the folks that were going to last a year, year and a half at their first job. And then I was going to pivot to either another company or another thing. So I have, and I have again, and I have again, and then I have again. So I am firmly convinced that transition is a journey, and we'll talk about that, and some tools and people that are there that are, I am not kidding you, they are dedicated and waiting to help every single veteran in their place, okay, in the place they're at now, and to help them on their journey. I'm going to share with you some ideas and some methodology that I have developed firsthand through my own experience, and also through chatting with and mentoring other service members. It's a way that I can give back. It's not my profession. It's not what I do as a living. So, and while I didn't throw, as I threw my slides together, my contact information in, let me share that with you now. I'm on LinkedIn at Kevin Lovell PMP. So if you look for a dude that looks about this ugly, if you go on LinkedIn and you search and you find a dude that looks about like this, then please reach out to me. I would like to help you on your journey. My email address is kevin.j.lovell18@gmail.com, and I'll hit that up at the end. So that's me in a nutshell. This is a way that I like to give back, and I got hooked up with a member of the Seven Eagle group, and they're nice enough to give me some time today to chat with y'all. Okay. So our agenda, we're going to talk about transition. We're going to talk about a way to figure it out. We're going to talk about the network, why that's so important. We're going to talk about not my story, but your story, right? Your story and how to tell it, okay? And the important portions of that are the elevator pitch, your tailored resume, and your LinkedIn profile. And then we're going to talk about in the conversation, resume building a better way, okay? So you're going to leave the service, or many of you have left the service, and you're going to go to something else. And I'm telling you, it is something else. My older brother, older sister, and I were all in the service. My father was years before we were born. And the camaraderie, the organization, the leeway that you get when you're in the service is going to be different than what you're going to experience in the private sector. That doesn't mean the service is better. That doesn't mean the private sector is worse. I'm just telling you it's different. So what's the most tangible way, or probably the biggest way for me to share with you all? I joined in 1995. That's when I got commissioned. I was stationed in Germany. We deployed to Bosnia in 1997. And that was about the height of everything in the Army that was kind of glamorous or sexy, unless you were stationed in the Korean Peninsula, or you happened to deploy to a Bright Star location in Egypt, or you did a rotation for 6 months in Kuwait as part of that contingency plan. People, everyone's got foibles, right? Everyone's got these twerks or bits of their personality that rub people the wrong way. That's just kind of how it works. Okay. Well, prior to 9/11, those things kind of set with people, and folks would hold grudges, or like, I just don't like that about this person, right? Why does they have to drum their fingers, or why do they have to ask questions in every meeting, right? And those things were big, all right? And then 9/11 happened. And I was a company commander, and I'm very proud to say that I was fortunate enough to deploy shortly after 9/11 to Uzbekistan, and then into Bagram, Afghanistan, with the Army construction outfit. And it was the first Army construction outfit to deploy by air ever. And we used 17 C-17s to do. and we did great stuff there. And then we came back. And my buddies at Fort Stewart that were in the 3rd Infantry Division, they were getting ready or were already in Kuwait to roll out of Kuwait and invade Iraq and do, the thunder runs into Baghdad. And then they came back. And then in 2005, I deployed again. And then in 2008, I deployed again. So we went, at least in the Army, and I know in the Air Force, their deployments went from like 6 weeks to 3 months, that window, to like 6 months to longer. All right. The Army went from 9 months to 12 months to a year and a half. The Marine Corps stayed on 7-month deployments because they were tied to ship deployments. But everybody in the service kind of went from, oh yeah, you might deploy, to you're deployed, you're going to come home, you're going to reset, you're going to prepare to deploy again, a lot of time in the field, and then you're going to be deployed again, right? And all of those little foibles and all the rest of that stuff, they seem to be not that important anymore, right? They didn't irritate us as much. And then they went to not irritating us at all. And let's face it, we existed in a society and in a military that was involved in 2 conflicts for the better part of the next 15, 20 odd years. Okay. And now you're going to transition to something that's not that. You're going to transition from something where I'm encouraged, not just encouraged, I'm obligated to speak up and speak with conciseness and candor to leaders and my peers, and to challenge them intellectually, especially during planning and in execution, okay, to a different environment where that candor and that conciseness can come across as not just unprofessionalism, but downright rudeness. So I'm just pointing out there are some differences in your operating environment, right? To kind of borrow lexicons from the 2 places. There are some thought processes in talking and thinking that you're going to work on, that you're going to have to adjust yourself to. Guideposts and guides. You've got people and organizations that are waiting to help you, okay? I lost count of the number of times that I reached out to someone on LinkedIn and said, can you please spare 15 minutes of your time to talk to me about your firm? And literally, out of 105 people, 1 person said, I don't understand what you want. And that person worked in HR. What I was asking for was this thing called an informational interview, where I would get 15 minutes of time to just ask them questions about, what's your experience in this firm? What do you like about the role you have? What do you like about the industry you're in? What skills do you use the most, right? These kind of questions that would help me, right, conduct my reconnaissance, right, continuing to borrow the military lexicon, and see, is this firm or is this industry or this kind of job something I might be interested in? 103 out of 104 people are like, sure, I'd love to give you time, right? And how did I lead in? My name's Kevin Lovell. I'm a retiring service member. Could you please, I saw a position or I'm doing some research into Acme Incorporated. Could you please spare 15 minutes of your time to talk to me about your experience there? It's that simple. They all said yes. Organizationally, you've got this organization that you're tied to. American Corporate Partnerships will provide free mentors for up to a year. Veterati provides free mentorship. 4Block provides education and some really robust program of both education and networking. They have expanded from face-to-face execution to that and virtual. I don't get anything from any of those organizations, but I'm going to tell you firsthand that I've benefited from Veterati. I've benefited from a mentor, an ACP. I've benefited from the curriculum in 4Block as a member of the Chicago cohort a couple of years ago. There are more. Transition, in the service, we think like we're football players. Okay, every time we get the ball, we're going to score. And when we're not just going to score field goals, nah, we're going to score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And then we're going to force a 3 and out. And then we're going to do it again and again and again. Okay. But I'm telling you, you've got to think like a baseball player. Okay. Now, what are you talking about? A baseball player. If you bat 300 and hit 25 home runs, you know what you're going to be in baseball? In the Hall of Fame. Okay. But what does that mean? If I bat 300, it means I struck out 7 times. Okay. And you still got to the Hall of Fame. So what am I getting here? Next step in the thought process is you're going to engage people, you're going to put resumes in, you're going to get interviews, and out of 10 times, you might only make solid contact 3 times. And you know what? That's not failure. That's that's the game. Okay? You think Bo Jackson, smashed a bat over his knee every time he struck out? No. Okay. Ryan Sandberg, right? Beloved Chicago Cub from back in the day when I was younger, he didn't do that. All right. Throw a bat in the deal every time he struck out because he knew he's going to have a couple more at bats that day. Right. And then he might go 2 for 4 with 2 home runs. Not a bad day. All right. Okay. So get yourself prepared that every time you talk to somebody, you're not going to get a call back. Every time you submit a resume, you're not going to get called up for a screening interview. Every time you have a screening interview, you're not going to get pushed forward. Every time you get pushed forward, you're not necessarily going to get offered a job. Every time you get offered a job, it might not be worth, okay, the compensation that they're offering might not match up with what you're willing, okay, to take. And every time you get to that point, and quite frankly, you get into that job, especially the first one, might be, wait a second, this isn't what we talked about. And guess what? When those things happen, those are not failures. Okay. You are painting a picture. And every time one of those things happens, you're getting a couple more pieces of the picture painted for you. Okay. You're going to be, no doubt, in a lexicon yourself as individuals and you all as a cohort from I have no idea what I want to do next to I know exactly what I want to do. And there's a spectrum in between. Okay. That's fine. If you know exactly what you want to do, you still need to confirm, right, that that's what you want to do by doing those informational interviews. If you have no idea what you want to do, then ask yourself, what would I like to do? What are the things I did in the service that I liked? What skills did I use in the service that I actually liked using? Okay. I talked about the expectation of the job and the coworkers. Salary, you have to do your own research on what you want to do is worth in the marketplace. All right. Some caveats there. For any of you guys and gals that are cleared, right, that have a TS, SCI, or poly, there's a misconception that it automatically means you get an extra 10, 15, or 20 grand. Okay. And while in a regular unit, there aren't that many cleared individuals, there are a lot of cleared individuals and you're all looking for the same gig because you're all looking for jobs that require a TS, SCI with a poly, all right, or some match of that. So you're competing against a whole lot of folks that retired last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago. Okay, so just understand what your worth is. Just because you have that or a certification, folks would say, oh, you've got a PMP level, that's good. You'll automatically get another 10 grand. Oh, you got a master's of science in management? That means another 10 grand. No, not exactly. Okay. Location. Location used to be like the number one thing you'd have to hammer out with potential employers before COVID. It's not the number one thing, but it is a thing now because your location where you live will drive the cost of labor for that area and your potential salary expectations. Okay. So, and some positions are still keyed to a location. So you have to be able to say, I want to live here, here, or here. 3. Short story, Lovell said when he was asked, a million years ago when I retired, Kevin, where do you want to work? Any place that's not Fort Drum or Fort Polk. And my friends and colleagues chuckled. They're like, no, really, where do you want to live? I'm like, really, I'm open to live anywhere that is not Fort Drum or it's not Fort Polk, Louisiana. We said, we got you, but a recruiter isn't going to understand that. And a recruiter has to fill a position in a location. So you've got to tell them a location and you've got to tell them what you want to do to help them make their job easier. Okay. Remote work and hybrid work have never been broader. Okay. So that's why I say location is not the number one thing anymore, but is still a thing. Okay, so what do I want to do in a way to figure it out? So I touched on this a second ago. Well, what did you like doing? Okay, what skills in the service did you like using? For me, I liked project management, which was the management of a scope and a particular schedule and a budget. Okay. And working and assembling a team of experts that worked on that scope to produce the deliverables. And I worked on several different kinds of projects, from developing strategy to architectural designs to delivering the construction to maintaining that building during the first year to doing other research, okay, running ranges, deploying 3,500 soldiers halfway around the world. In about 3 days' notice, I got that one dropped on me when a brigade combat team said, we're going to bring the force shop forward, and Lovell, as a brigade engineer, you get to push everybody out, et cetera, right? So what are the things so that was the canvas, that was the message that I painted. For other folks, it's, well, I want to be an intel analyst. I want to look at things that are technical in nature and do the pattern analysis and do the operations research and statistical analysis to help people figure out or verify some assumptions. Other folks said, hey, I really liked managing the movement of supplies and logistics from one end to the other, right? We call that supply chain now. Other folks talked about, hey, I really liked the fact that things are technical and I want to get involved in coding, right? Or I want to get involved in IT. So think about the things you like doing. And if you're still kind of vague on that, right, then Google is a powerful tool. Okay, think of the skills that you like to use, or the things that, or those activities I said that you like to use. Plug them into Google, right? What jobs require blank? Okay, what industries require blank? And then that's going to give you an output. Okay, you can use Glassdoor and you could use Fishbowl for the same thing. And then once you've got those job titles, right, you go back to Google, you go back to LinkedIn, you go back to Glassdoor, and you plug those things in, and that'll give you companies. Okay. And then from there, you can go to LinkedIn. Okay. And if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you need to get one. Okay. And we'll talk more about that later on. And then you put that in, and guess what? That'll give you, when you put in the search, say for Exeter Corporation, my face is going to pop up, right? And after this, okay, you're going to go to LinkedIn. You're going to send me a connection request saying that, we met during this event, so I know who you are. And then I'll be a first connection. And then the great thing is, every time you're looking for something, you're going to see, let's say you're looking for, as you go through this piece again, you see that something matches up for Jacobs, and you're going to type in Jacobs, and you're going to see, oh, I've got a first connection that knows somebody that's a second connection that works at Jacobs. Okay, Kevin, can you please introduce me to blank who works at Jacobs? Can you please introduce me to Ben Redding that works in IT? Can you please introduce me to blank that works in this area? You know what I'm going to say? Absolutely. Let's flesh out a little bit what you want to do so I can help you tell your story to this person at Jacobs, this guy named Ben, this other person. Let me pause for a second. Does all that make sense so far? And if I don't have a chat window open, so if anybody's asking questions in the chat, just go ahead and like ask them verbally, okay?
There's nothing in the chat right now.
Great, thanks so much. Okay, so I've talked a little bit about the network, right? LinkedIn is a great networking tool. I talked about first connections, second connections, third connections. Why is the network so important? Because the network, your personal and professional network, is a way for you to conduct that reconnaissance, that information gathering. It's a way to find out about trends in the industry. It's a great way, quite frankly, to find out about job opportunities, about cultures for the firm of a particular company or firm, or what life is like in that firm or in that industry. Okay. Your first, think about your network as concentric circles that go around you, right? So who do I know? Well, I know I've got family members. I've got people that I worked with in the service. Okay. And then you continue to draw those circles that go out. And well, who else do I know? Well, if I'm interested in a particular profession, then I highly suggest you get involved. You do research in that profession, and invariably, every profession has a professional group that's tied to it. Okay. And bear with me for a second. I got to fix something here. Okay. So every profession has got a group that's tied towards it. So You see there, I've got SAME, the Society of American Military Engineers. It's an organization that's existed for over 100 years that puts people in the federal sector and the private sector together to solve some of our nation's most challenging problems in design and engineering and architectural design and construction and facility management. And that's expanding outside of the building envelope, right? PMI, Project Management Institute, professional organization, worldwide professional organization for project managers. You've got IFMA, the International Facility Management Association. Okay, these are just some of the examples, right? The IT community has to have many. There are ones that are in quality. There are ones that are in IT. So think about what the profession you want to go into, what professional organizations service that profession, and get involved in that professional organization. Because guess what? That's a whole treasure trove of folks that can't wait to help transitioning servicemen and women. Okay, introduce, you know, share with them opportunities at their firms, share with them their connections, share with them their input. I'll be honest with you, I had several conversations. I got recruited away from KPMG in August to come to this firm called Exeter. And I reached out to folks that I knew that had worked with folks at Exeter to ask them, hey, so what's that like? What was your experience? Okay. Those folks, oh, the other reason why to get in on LinkedIn, you know how the recruiter found me? On LinkedIn. I wasn't looking for a job. Okay. Any questions about the network and why you need to have the network? Okay, cool. Okay, your story. Your story is your story. You get to write your story. But the key thing about your story is that it is not what I did on my summer vacation. It is not all the cool stuff you did during your military career. Everybody whose resume that looks like that, raise your hand. Y'all some lying individuals. Okay, so thank you, Wendy. I appreciate it. Because guess what? My resume was like that for a long time until a mentor's like, Kevin, you're not trying to go get your former jobs back. You're trying to get this job. So to get this job, you have to tailor your resume to this position. Okay. Okay. So if I've got to tailor my resume to this position, then I've got to tell my story to that position. Okay. So there are three things that tie together. Okay. We're going to go over this in greater detail, but I learned that humans learn through significant emotional experience and repetition. So we're going to try learning through repetition. Three things that are key, that are tied together with a cable, are your elevator pitch, 5 to 10 seconds, your resume, and your LinkedIn profile. Okay. The whole goal of understanding your story is to help the recruiter fill a position. And how do we help the recruiter fill a position? By helping them understand how you match up with their position description. They've got a PD, they've got to fill it. You want to help them fill their position description. Once they realize that you help them fill their position description, they move you from a screening interview onto the interview phase. And there might be 3, 4, or 5 of those. Okay. And with each one of those interviews, they're going to ask you questions about how you technically meet the elements of the position description, or how you emotionally and mentally and behaviorally meet. So you probably have heard of behavioral interviews. Tell me about a time when you succeeded. Tell me about a time when you failed. Tell me about what would you do if you landed on Mars and you didn't have an oxygen tank? What's the first 5 things you do? Okay, you know, those kind of questions. All of those pieces go together so they can evaluate primarily, so first, how well you meet the elements of the position description. And then as you go further in the interview life cycle, then they're trying to figure out how well would we enjoy working with Wendy, with Kwanzi, with Mark, with Larissa, with Ivan, with Brandon, with Colton. We'll give Brandon some break, even though he's a San Francisco 49ers fan. Okay, but how would I like working with those folks? It's about personality. It's about if this is work that requires group work, right? Does Kevin work well in a group? You know, we talked to Kevin. It doesn't seem like he works well in a group. But Wendy came across as somebody that's really personable, that's easy to get along with, that doesn't get flustered easy. We think she'd be a great person to work with. Okay. But guess what? If you're looking to go into, let's say, accounting, right? And your technical skills are not that great, but you love to work in groups, well, guess what? Accountants, their technical skills are their primary skills. Okay. And their ability to work and operate in groups and inspire others, important, but not as. So understanding the piece, right? Because it's all about improving the potential for the betterment of the match. Okay. So you can have better and more intense conversations in interviews. Okay. So the elevator pitch, 5 to 10 seconds long. Okay. And what you have to understand what you're looking for. Okay. And you have to understand how what you're looking for helps the recruiter or your audience, maybe not the recruiter, maybe it's somebody else in the firm, how it helps, how it translates or communicates to that audience, okay, a hole that that firm is trying to fill. All right. So in 2016, I said that I'm a skilled project and program manager with 20 years of experience in project and program management who is looking for an opportunity to lead project design teams focused on the federal government.
Are they supposed to be done in like the third person or the?
No, like my
I-
elevator pitch was,
Yeah.
I am looking for blah, 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 right? Because the elevator pitch is something that you're given to somebody, Wendy. Like I'm going to have a conversation with Wendy and I'm going to say, Wendy, I'm looking for a position as a project manager focused on federal clients, where I can use my 21 years of project management experience and my experience in 4 different Army Corps of Engineer districts to help the firm win projects and succeed. Right. So that's even longer than what you want, but you get it. It is not, then I joined the Army and then I did this and then I got my master's degree and then I got that and then right. It's okay, blam. I jump all the way to the end, right? So now I'm looking for blank. That's the whole message in the elevator pitch. Then you take, and we're going to go over this in a second, but it's short. Your first one is not your final one. You need to rehearse it and oh man, this is the painful part. Stand in front of the mirror, look at yourself and say it. Have somebody record you, audio and video, and then play it back and then listen to how that sounds, see how that sounds. Because you're presenting, right? And you want the presentation to match what you're trying to deliver. And if it's long, if it doesn't sound crisp, then you're going to refine it because you want to sound crisp and confident, like, man, you know what's going on because I want Miriam on my team, right? And I came across and I listened to Miriam's elevator pitch and I knew exactly what Miriam was looking for. This is clearly somebody that knows what she wants. And I think that I'll be able to place her in this kind of portion, right? In this kind of position. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Failure to rehearse will put you in the hearse. A former instructor of mine said, so always rehearse. From there, we go to the resume, right? And a way. So for decades, I wrote my resume like it was my coolest things that I did while I was in the service that kind of matched up what I thought the folks at that firm were interested in. But I still had all kinds of extraneous junk in there, quite frankly, that had nothing to do with the position, but I thought that might impress somebody. And then finally, a mentor of mine from Veterati said, Kevin, buddy, let's look at the position description. I'm going to give you a little bit of a practical exercise here. Can you guys see the Word document that's up on the screen? Right? Great. Thank you very much. Okay. So he said, Kevin, go into the position description and then look at what all the buzz phrases are. Okay. And highlight the buzz phrases, right? So you can see some of the highlights I've got here. Okay. And then figure out, as you write a chronological resume, and you all will write chronological resumes. Think about in your resume when you did those activities. So as you look at these buzz phrases, the intermediate step is to say, okay, so what situation was I in and what task did I have when I needed to plan, organize, or secure or manage resources? When did I have where was I at that I needed to work on estimates to complete? That's a project management term. And when did I have to worry about man hour expenditures? And when did I have to worry about integrated program baselines and status reviews, right? And what jobs was I in that I had the situation and the task to do that? And then, so I wrote that out, right? And what unit I was in. And then I wrote the action and result portion. Well, in this unit, I was responsible for this kind of thing, this kind of magnitude, and it resulted in this. And then I looked at in what units I did those different pieces. And you didn't want to have like 17 things for like one unit and like no things for another. If I had some redundancy, let's say project management related things, let's say for planning and organizing and managing resources, I had that in 5 places. And so I put that because this is listed first, I made sure it was at the top of my resume, right? So I'm like, oh, definitely going to put that in the last job I was in if I did it there, right? And then some other pieces, okay, because usually these elements are written in order. Oh, wait a second. What do we have here? We've got an overall paragraph. We've got responsibilities. So that really gets at what skills the firm is looking for you to provide some examples of, what experience they're looking for you to provide examples of. Okay. There are also, right, required experiences, skills, and educations kind of below here. Oh, yeah, education. This job required a master's degree in particular areas. It required that amount of experience. Okay. It required, there's be some things about citizenship and a secret clearance, maybe depending on where you're looking at. Oh, active PMI, PMP certification. Okay, so every position description is going to talk about experience. It's going to talk about skills. It's going to talk about education, and some might talk about certifications that are required. Okay, so I want to make sure that I understand what those pieces are using my STAR method, and then, okay, bear with me for a second. Because one of my docs disappeared.
Hey, Kevin, while you're doing that, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What if you're going through and you see the job list and you're like, okay, I know I've done this before, but on the civilian side, you see something like that integrated program baseline, and you're like,
Yeah.
I have no idea if I've done whatever that means because I don't know what it means. What
Right.
do you do when to look that up to see where your skills may fit that title? Do you just Google
Yeah.
it or?
So you know what? That's you could Google that, do a little bit of research. There's where those informational interviews, right, come into play. All right. Hey, when they say integrated baseline, what are they talking about? Oh, yeah. So what we're getting at when we say integrated baseline is we usually set some initial numbers up front. We have the plan, and we want you to stick to the plan for the budget. Oh, okay, yeah. I've had to develop a schedule before and stay to a schedule. I've had to, I've given 5 people, and I'm going to get 5 people up front, and then 3 weeks later I'm going to get 2 people, and then 4 weeks after that I'm going to have 5 people. So I have a resourcing plan, and I've had to stick to that, right? So I'm glad you asked that question, Brandon, because here's the biggest challenge you will have. You have to turn your language into their language. They are not going to meet you. It stinks. It would be much easier if a handful of a couple of 10,000 HR professionals did that, but it's not happening. Okay. For any of you Tom Clancy fans, one of my favorite excerpts from one of their books talks about how Ding Chavez or one of the other guys talks about how it was always amazing to him how after they got dropped off in the jungle by a helicopter, the professionals headed to the wood line to start doing what they're going to do, and the amateurs were staring up at the helicopter as if it was going to spin around and come pick them back up, right? We don't have the operational environment that we want. We've got the operational environment that we have. They're not going to learn our language. We've got to learn theirs. So Brandon, thanks for asking that question. Ways to learn their language: reaching out to the professions, asking probing questions. What do they mean by that? Well, could this actually be the same thing as that? well, what is this? I remember asking a question. Hey, I put down asset management. And I was always talking to somebody like, Kevin, you don't do asset management. I'm like, well, a facility is an asset. I had to manage the asset over whatever. And they're like, no, we understand in the government and in the Army, the Department of Defense, that might be asset management. But you guys don't depreciate your buildings and have to account for them on financial statements like in the private sector. You don't have experience in that. And for these folks that you're putting this down for this particular job, that's what they're going to think. And they're going to ask you questions and you're going to stumble. And then your credibility will take a hit. Right. So another reason why you got to do that research in these pieces. Okay. So back here to the STAR method.
Hey, we actually have another hand. We have a hand raised. Colton.
Okay, great. Colton, what do you got?
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to click the button. That's my bad.
Okay. It's all right. So a way, right? I start with a paragraph up front that talks about what I'm interested in. I talk about my professional experience, core competencies, and my industry background, all tied to the buzzwords that I saw in that position description. Okay. Title, firm I did it with, location, start date, end date, right? And this is my one that got me my current job. So this isn't, my latest. It doesn't show Exeter, but this was the resume that I used to get the job that I'm in. Okay. Paragraph up top, I quite frankly, it should be like 3 lines, not 4 lines long, and this is your situation and your tasks. Okay. What I did in that outfit. Okay. And then here's my actions and my results. Right. And we know from writing counseling statements for troops every month or quarterly or semi-annual and annual evaluations for non-commissioned officers and officers, right? We want to have quantifiables in there that show the breadth and depth of their responsibility up here, and especially down here in the actions and the results, right? So here is a way that I took, let's see, we'll go here. So I had a job in the Pentagon, okay? And the title of the job translates to this community, so I didn't need to change it, okay? Headquarters, U.S. Army, Pentagon, Washington, D.C., from then to then, okay? I was responsible for leading this in the industry that I'm in. People know what PPP means, so I was able to gain some real estate back there. Led 11 technology and process integration initiatives, and then I talked about the things that I got to work on, okay? That tied, oh, wait a second. The actions and results tied to the situation, okay, and the task. Those tie back to the highlights from the position description. Does everybody see that? Now, if you're a recruiter and you look at my resume and the recruiter's only going to spend 8 seconds looking at it, and I've used the same words as your position description, what do you think the likelihood is that that's going to stick out? Right? So you know what you've just done? You've just helped them make their job easier. If you make them have to work, next, because they don't have time to read the resumes they've got, and they've got another 10 for the position you're applying for on their desk. Got 1, got 2, got 3, next. I got to move on to the next rec I got to fill. Okay. Now, a way to do this is, the stuff I'm going to recommend here in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to talk really fast, so please hold your questions because I'm behind. There are 4 pieces of collateral that I highly suggest you check out. I don't get anything from them. I've used them successfully. 2 books, 60 Seconds and You're Hired, written by Robin Ryan, R-Y-A-N. 60 Seconds and You're Hired, Robin Ryan. When Can You Start? Paul Freeberger. When Can You Start? Those 2 books are going to walk you through the entire life cycle of trying to find a gig, from cold calls to working your, which is part of working your network, okay, to asking for informational interviews, preparing your resume, preparing for the interview, how to handle yourself during the interview, etc. Okay. 2 pieces of collateral that are digital, right? That are living. A lady named JT O'Donnell on LinkedIn and on YouTube. Her firm is called Work It Daily. I have learned from her free collateral. She has services. I've never paid for any of her services. I have found her information to be extremely helpful. And then, quite frankly, not and in bite-sized snippets. You don't have to listen to like a video for like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours. Okay. And then the other guy, his name is Donald Georgievich. Don Georgievich. He's got stuff on LinkedIn and on YouTube. First lady, JT O'Donnell. Her firm is called Work It Daily. She used to work in HR, and then she pivoted to helping people find a gig. All right, find their thing. Okay. So we talked about the STAR method. We talked about matching up experiences with the buzzwords. Put the buzzwords in that, try to put the buzzwords in the order in the resume, but if it doesn't work out that way, it doesn't, right? Don't want to lie. Don't say you did something at a firm if you didn't do it, okay? Because they're going to ask you questions. Now, so this is the resume, and then we go to the LinkedIn profile, okay? And what's the LinkedIn profile need to be? Well, the LinkedIn profile is the expansion of the resume. So remember, for anybody that grew up in the United States around Thanksgiving time, the teacher used to pull out the pictures of the cornucopia, right? And which is that big woven horn looking thing, right? That would have had a turkey and a squash and a pumpkin and other stuff in there, right? And it was really narrow at the back end, and it was really wide at the opening, right? So the back end is your elevator pitch, 5 to 10 seconds. About 2/3 of the way up, that's your resume. At the opening, that's your LinkedIn profile, okay? So while my resume is, oh, by the way, the resume is 1 page, double-sided, no more than that. That's it, the end. Not up for discussion. And I'm pulling something up here quickly so you can see. So now, my LinkedIn profile allows me to expand my story, right? I'm a speaker, I'm a moderator, I'm a thought leader, I'm a program portfolio manager. Right up front there in my title, I'm trying to get my pieces across, the things that I wanted to share, okay? Here are some of in the community that I operate in, presenting and getting published is important, so as well as being certified. So that's what you see up here in the featured portion, okay? You can see, oh, wow, I've got a pretty big network. So people that are looking at my stuff know that I've got a large network that I've cultivated across different pieces. And then they can go down and they can look at my experience, okay? Oh, wow. So these are the kind of things that Kevin's looking at. What does your LinkedIn profile need to be? Not identical, but it needs to be consistent with your resume. Because I'm going to come here, okay? A recruiter won't, but I have been interviewing people for 10 years. I interviewed folks when I served in positions in the federal government and in every private sector company that I've been in, okay? For positions in my little widget and wedge, all right? And so I'm going to come look at your LinkedIn profile and folks that looked at me and interviewed me literally, and every time I've interviewed, looked at my LinkedIn profile and be like, hey, and they're gonna call out. I've looked at, hey, you say you did this thing 100 times in your resume, but it only says you did it 20 on your LinkedIn profile. You're lying, right? Now that's the negative piece. But the positive piece is you flush some of these things out here, and now I've got things that I want to ask Kwanzaa. I want to ask Wendy. I want to ask Justin. I want to ask Haley. Hey, Haley, tell me about this. Now, if you're applying for a federal job, everybody gets asked the same questions. They have to by law. There's no individuality there. In the private sector, guess what? I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to ask some baseline questions that are the same for everybody, but I'm going to ask some questions that, quite frankly, are tailored to you based on what's in your resume and what's on your LinkedIn profile. So use these things to help you tell your story on how you fit that position description better than anybody else. Questions? Does anything sound crazy here? Like, Lovell, you must have got up and had some bad oatmeal. You're hallucinating. or what does make sense? I'm gonna start.
Well, I was
calling
going to
on-
ask a question about we're always hearing match up the KSAs of the job listings. And I was going to ask you that earlier, Kevin, but I think out of everybody that has come to brief us or what we've heard in Seven Eagle, you just spelled it out the absolute best that I've heard yet.
Oh, great.
I was gonna
Sure.
say probably
Go
the
ahead.
best part, Kevin, that I really appreciate was you actually showing your resume versus responsibilities. Except like what Brandon was saying is we've gone over like, hey, you want to tailor your resumes, you want to like make it fit each job, but you kind of showed us like, hey, this is what it'll look like, and this is how you do it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I know to do, but I struggle to do it, and so
Right.
that's why that was helpful.
Hey, in the service, right? What do we get after we got a block of instruction? We got a practical exercise, right? So they told us this is what you're going to do, and they showed us an example, and then they said, congratulations. Now dig your fighting position and then draw up your range card from any of you Army guys that had to do that, right? You know, or anything else like that. So I'm glad that helped. Okay, now go to LinkedIn, and again, so some folks might have joined late, and I know we only got a couple minutes left, so I want to give this plug in. You have the opportunity to help me. Okay. The way I give back from all the people that help me is by helping folks that are transitioning service members or veterans. Okay. So if you would like to connect with me and get free advice, there are no strings attached, no pressures, no nothing. Okay. This is why I say you give me an opportunity to give back. Then reach out to me on LinkedIn. And my email address is kevin.j.lovell18@gmail. If you reach out to me on LinkedIn, you got to say that we met during this thing so I can figure out how we met. If you have a LinkedIn profile, you probably have gotten all kinds of stuff from folks that are bogus, okay, that are like bots and right. So if you put the note in there, then I'm going to accept your stuff. Okay. Now back to this. Ivan, Mark, Jimmy, what made sense? What didn't make sense to you guys? What do I need to take another stab at? I forgot I had one slide left. Okay. Reconnaissance and preparation, right? Check out the company's website, check out their LinkedIn profile, Google the company, check them out on Glassdoor, check them out on Fishbowl. Take a lot of that stuff with a grain of salt, but you got to check them out. Okay. Talk to your peers, talk to your connections about that. Talk about informational interviews. We spoke about that. The purpose of the informational interview is to get information, not to get a job. So you ask for 15 minutes. Let me take 30 seconds to talk about that deal. You reach out like I talked about before, right? They say, yeah, sure. Brandon says, sure, Kevin, I'll talk to you. Brandon gets on the phone with me at 10 minutes. I asked for 15 minutes, right? At 10 minutes, gone. 5 minutes ago, I say, Brandon, I can't thank you enough for your time today. This has been fantastic. Okay. And by the way, you check out these two books. They give you a list of questions to ask. You Google it. Okay. Those are the kind of questions you want to ask. And, but understand why you're asking those questions. Those are the kind of questions you ask to help you understand what the company's about, what you need to find out as part of your intel gathering. 5 minutes to go. Brandon, can't thank you enough. I want to be respectful of your time. Can we continue this conversation at another time, or is there anybody else that you think that I should talk with to continue, right, my journey to find out about if there's a way I can help your firm? Invariably, right, out of those 104 people, 80 said, Kevin, do you have a resume? I said, well, I got a baseline resume, but it's not tailored. That's all right. Tell you what, send me your resume and then go check out our careers page to see if there's something. Because invariably I've asked questions about project management or something that I'm interested in there, right? Oh, by the way, I showed up prepared too. I didn't just show up there like, okay, so tell me what Parsons does. It's, hey, can you talk to me about how this section of Parsons operates, right? I showed up with my homework done, probably checked out some pieces. After I figured out those job titles, right, and I went into LinkedIn, I then went over to people to see what kind of people that worked from that firm. I went to that firm's careers page, LinkedIn might automatically point me there. Oh, they've got positions for project managers. They've got positions for fill in the blank. Okay, I want to find out about what this is like. That's why I asked for this informational interview with Brandon at the San Francisco 49ers, right? We're talking 5 minutes left. Want to be respectful of your time. Anybody else I should talk to? 80% of the folks, little under 80, said, send me your resume. Okay. Other folks are like, yeah, you know what? I'm not the person to talk to. Okay. The other literally 14 or 24 folks that are left, let me put you in touch with somebody. There was one person must have been having a bad day. All right. Was like, I don't understand what you want. Clearly I love it here. That's why I work here. Otherwise I wouldn't work here. Like I said, there was like that one person out of 104 that it just wasn't working out, that informational interview conversation. Invariably, all of them passed my stuff on. Now, baseball, right? Probably 70% of those folks reached back out to me and said, hey, got your resume. Would like to talk to you some more. 34 of them said, got your Rob, no, not that many. 24 said, got your resume. We don't have anything going on, but I'm going to keep it on file. 10 didn't get anything back from. Okay. So does that mean I failed? Well, no, I don't have any control over what their log looks like for potential jobs, etc. Right. Or what their culture looks like, or what kind of attitude they have. The other reason why you want to have this informational interview is it expands the network and it gets you an advocate. If you are applying to firms and you don't have an advocate, if you don't have somebody recommending, you are not going to be successful. There are death and there are taxes, and those are the only two things that are certain in life. Okay. The third one that gets real close is by applying to a position with no advocate. So by executing or reaching out and using that network, asking for the informational interview, asking them to introduce you to somebody else, participating in professional organizations. I got to KPMG because I joined the local IFMA chapter and met a lady that worked in facilities management of the KPMG Chicago office. And she acted as my entry point and a person that recommended me into the system. Invariably, if you are every company, just about, maybe the smallest ones don't, but every company will have some system of recommendations. If you're getting recommended to the HR department or to someone by an employee, you've got a significantly better opportunity to make headway. Is it guaranteed? No. There were times I was recommended. There's a guy who wanted to hire me for a particular job. Kevin, I would hire you in a second. We just have to get by the HR administrativia. We work together on my resume. This is great. This should get through. Send it to me. I'm going to I got the email back. It said, okay, go ahead and apply. I applied. HR sent me a form email back that said, yeah, we're going to consider other candidates. Didn't even get a screening call. The dude was irate that wanted to hire me. He's like, I have been trying to fill this position. I know what I want. We tailored this resume. I talked to the folks in HR. They're just so irritated, right? Did that mean that I failed? Well, if anything else, I got insight into how that company's HR works. Is that really the kind of place I want to work? For me, was, so it wasn't crushed. No, let me put it. At the time, I was hurt, okay, which is why I say to be resilient, okay? So don't be like Kevin in that regard. I was hurt. Be resilient, but everything worked out for the best, quite frankly. I know that I've gone over a whole bunch of stuff all over the place, kind of like a Jackson Pollock painting in the last 5 minutes. So I appreciate everyone's patience. But if you reach out to me, I'll go over these portions with you. Or if you guys would be nice enough to have me back for round 2, so I can go over some other items, and you guys let your coordinators know, and I'd love to do this again.
Yeah, definitely, Kevin. Thank you so much for all that information. That was a great presentation. Like Brandon said, very straightforward.
Yeah, thanks for coming and talking with us, Kevin. I'll definitely be reaching out to you soon, especially after Sunday.
Good stuff. Now I've got a minute left. Here's your part of the bargain. How could I do a better job? This is about continuous improvement for me. Marlena, how could I do a better job?
I was thinking, I don't have anything.
Miriam, help me out. How could I do a better job?
I really like the presentation. I mean, I don't really have any insight or input.
Jennifer, any ideas on how I could be better at my presentation?
If it's me, I just popped in, so I'm not exactly sure what your presentation's
Okay.
purpose is.
Got it. Molly, Mark, or Jimmy? Anyone?
I can add one. You can probably pull out one of our resume and give like a direct comment, kind of like looking what's wrong in it. Kind of like at least we have like, kind of like we see what's something wrong with our resume. There's like a direct feedback from you.
Got it. Feedback on your resume. Gotcha.
Yeah, I would
Mark,
say feedback
because
on the LinkedIn.
the font is too small on your resume. I couldn't see it at all if you were sharing it with me. That's just some humor. I'm sorry, somebody was talking when I was trying to be a smart guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you was done. I would say feedback on LinkedIn. As far as our pages, maybe go over it with us as well.
Got it. Okay. Great
But other
points.
than that, I thought it was phenomenal, Kevin. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think what they're trying to say, Kevin, is you should have scheduled a 2-hour block, not just a 1-hour block.
Right. Well, I tell
That's
you
what I
what.
was gonna say.
And I mean, I tell you what. I mean, it's
More
in all
time,
seriousness.
so it wasn't so rushed.
Well, I tell you what. Let's do part 1 and part 2. Right. So you guys let your coordinators know that you'd like to have me back, and then I offered to come back, and we can figure out when I can come back for part 2.
All right, sounds great, Kevin. We'll reach out, okay?
Okay. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great rest of the day. And I can't think of a better hour of my day. I really, really appreciate the time you all gave me today.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin. Good having
Best
you.
of luck in your journeys.
Jennifer, welcome to our cohort. Sorry, we ran over about a minute. If you could oblige us for like 2 more minutes. Does anybody need just a chance to go off camera and take a quick break and run back? Everybody good? Okay, cool. Just want to make sure we're good there. So Jennifer, the floor is yours. We are recording. I'm not, let me double check. What are you presenting on today?
So I'll be honest, I was told that I didn't need a presentation. I have
that's
one
fine.
that I normally give, but I don't necessarily want to talk at you. I did hear that somebody was interested in LinkedIn, and that happens to be my specialty. So
Awesome.
I'm more than happy to just open it up to questions and answer any that y'all have.
Sounds great, Jennifer. Thank you so much. Why don't you start out, just give us an introduction, a little bit of your background and what you do and who you're with, and then we'll go into that question time.
Absolutely. So my name is Jennifer Burks. I'm a veteran Army spouse, which means we were active duty for 22 years. My service member retired about 3 years ago now. Like many veteran spouses, I didn't start my career until he separated. So I went through a whole bunch of different things. I've been everything from a security guard to a dog trainer to an entrepreneur to a transition assistant, which is what I do now. So my service member started this LLC, What's Next Career Consultants. And what I do is I help service members and military spouses in transition, but my specialty is LinkedIn, networking, personal branding, career marketing, all those really, really scary words that you're not exactly sure what to even ask about or how to do it. Because I am a trainer by trade, I really pride myself in breaking it down into easy to understand and fun presentation. I hope you have a chance to check out my LinkedIn page because I do have a lot of very easy to understand and super fast to watch videos about using LinkedIn and networking.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so we have a LinkedIn expert here today. So why don't we kick off? We can start off with just doing some questions, and then if we kind of run out of some questions, maybe you can just give some like direct constructive feedback to members.
Absolutely.
Do some screen shares and stuff.
Okay, hey, I'll jump in real quick and like I'll punt the ball or grab the ball or
Hi,
whatever.
Steven.
Hey, Jennifer, great to meet you. So yeah, I'm starting my transition right now. I feel very strong on LinkedIn. I have a good, I've had some coaching on that. What is, my question is, in the about, like the about section or somewhere, what is something like a couple tricks, like do and do not to really grab somebody's attention and draw them in?
Great question. So the about section is definitely the hardest section to write. None of us like writing about ourselves. It's really, really difficult. So in the about section, the worst thing you could do is post a copy of your resume. You never want to give someone an excuse to just filter you out. And if they see your resume, they might think, well, this is all this person has to offer. You don't even want to put up the summary of your resume, because the about section really should be you introducing yourself in the first person to your network or a potential network connection. The best thing you could do is show your personality. It doesn't show up on your resume. It may not even completely come through in a short interview, and a 1-hour interview is pretty short because you get down to about the last 10 minutes and then they let you ask questions. So I really want to see your personality. And here's the reason for this, because I know you're thinking this is a professional network. I'm supposed to be professional. You know, this isn't Instagram or TikTok or what, and you're right, it's not. But when I am thinking about adding you to my network or to my team, I want to know if I want to spend time with you, right? If you're my next teammate, I want to make sure that our personalities are going to click. So if you show me who you are up front, now I have a reason to connect with you. I have something in common. Maybe I'm a Niners fan, so I'm definitely going to reach out to Brandon over here. Maybe I'm not a Niners fan, so I'm going to give a whole bunch of shit about it. But even that is enough for veterans and milspouses to connect. You want to show who you are, to show that you are a real person, an approachable person, and to show what someone is going to get when they connect with or hire you. That was a great question, Stephen. Oh, come on. I know this is not an easy topic. Somebody has a question. I promise there's no stupid question. I didn't go to school or anything for this. I don't get paid by LinkedIn. Everything I learned is through my own research, my own trial and error, and talking to other SMEs. So whatever you have to ask, chances are I've been there.
Okay, since we're already on interviews, Jennifer, again, thanks for coming to talk with us today. I had an interview yesterday, and I went through some soft skills questions, and I'm feeling good about myself. I feel like I'm knocking them out of the park. And then they asked me a question very specific to the job. And I felt like that was the worst answer I could probably give. And I was trying to correct it as I went, but it just wasn't possible. I asked good questions at the end, but I feel, you know, hey, I'm 0 for 1 on at least that one. If you feel that way about the interview, what advice would you give us to try and, you know, correct that? You know, because I'm trying to on LinkedIn and stuff like that. But would you just consider that a lost cause, or is there certain actions that you would take to let them know, hey, I'm qualified for this job, and I realize I didn't answer that correct?
So first of all, any interview is good experience, even if you feel like it's a Charlie Fox trot, because you have to practice those skills, right? They are not skills that come naturally. So even when you mess up, even when you feel like you fail, you still learn something. Like you said, you learn to kind of backtrack, try to clarify. If they said to you, if you have any questions or you feel you need to reach out, go ahead and reach out to your recruiter or reach out to me, and they've given you contact information, then that's an open door to reach out to say, I don't feel that I was complete in my answer on this question. The fact that you will be able to answer to repeat the question, which means you probably took notes, and most interviewees do not take notes. That I hope that surprises you, because it really surprised me. But when people see me taking notes in an interview, I've been told many times, you're the only one to do that. So that right there sets you apart. The fact that you follow up sets you apart, because you cared enough about the answer that you gave and the impression that you gave. And then answer the question, or if they're open to it, ask for a chat. A recruiter's job is to sell you, if you will, to the hiring manager. So never feel like you can't reach out to and talk to a recruiter, because they should be getting to know you to present you in the most complete way possible.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I'd gotten past the recruiter at this point, and this was, direct SMEs with the company. And so I reached out to the guy that was running it, and nothing yet, but it's been less than 24 hours. So
Okay.
awesome.
So
Thank you.
keep in mind that it might not be personal. Sometimes they are precluded. HR says, absolutely, you cannot talk to a candidate. In that case, go talk to the recruiter. The recruiter should be able to talk to you. But if they're on the hiring panel, they might not be able to talk to you outside of the interview.
Awesome. Great advice. I did not talk to the recruiter. I will do that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question for you, Jennifer.
Hi.
So I was recently given the advice to, that little field below your name where you enter in just like job titles that you're interested in. I can't remember what it's called at the top of my head. As soon as what's that?
Headline.
Headline, yes. As soon as I updated my headline to positions that I would like, this was like 3 or 4 days ago, I have been getting 3 to 4 calls a day from people in India trying to offer me contracts. It's driving me crazy. Is this what happens to everybody? Is there anything I can do to prevent it?
I don't know if it happens to everybody, but it happens to me quite a lot. I don't know what it is about India. I have nothing against India, but I don't know if they have really powerful search engines or what, but I do get a lot of people reaching out from India. So maybe they've really keyed in on the keywords. I don't know. I would just be polite you said phone calls?
Yeah, I'm getting phone calls and emails.
Okay, so first of all, do you want that to be public information? Do you want your phone number and your email to be available to anyone?
Well, before it was fine because I was getting the occasional call from maybe once a week or every other week from somebody in the States or something. An English speaker talking to me about a job, which was great. I'd rather have that, just a few here and there. But it was just something weird about when I updated my headline. I just started getting a lot of them.
So I'll be honest, these settings that are in LinkedIn, there are a ton of them. I would look at the privacy settings and see if you can block a specific country. You may be able to do that, or you may just be able to block anyone outside of the United States or outside of North America.
Okay, yeah, that's a good
Otherwise, I would just be polite, especially if it's an in-mail. If it's an in-mail and you tell them no, thank you, they actually get the credit back. So recruiters really appreciate that. Otherwise, I will tell you that it always happens in spurts like that. When I first make a change or I first put out a post that's really popular, I get a lot of really strange connection requests and in-mails, but it dies off.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. You did right, though. You should put the titles that you're looking for in your headline. That's very good advice. All right, so I won't call on or shame anyone, but if you want to look at a profile, we can. If you want to just look at my profile, and I'll talk about the different sections, we can. Does anybody have questions about LinkedIn tools that you don't know how to use?
Hey, I just put something in the chat there, and I also gave you my URL if you want to use me as an example and beat me up in front of everyone. I'm okay with that. But my last question, you can read in the chat.
And I think Mark might have volunteered as well to have his looked at. I believe it was Mark that was speaking earlier. And
I hope they don't have alcoholic in there, but that would definitely get my attention. All right, so your question is, what is the best number of titles in your opinion to make you stand out? So that's a great question. Unfortunately, service members love to ask me these questions about hard numbers, hard rules, what is the exact right thing to do, and there is no exact right thing on this one. Some things are affected very specifically by the algorithm. This one is not. What I would say is if you put a business consultant, entrepreneur, even dog walker, because that could fall under business consultant and entrepreneur. I could see a pattern there. Alcoholic would just make me laugh, and I would probably reach out to you and let you know that your headline made me laugh. However, if you start putting up business consultant, entrepreneur, dog walker, race car driver, and surgeon, then I would think you need to talk to some more people, maybe get some mentors and figure out a more straight path of what you want to do post-military or in your career pivot. And I apologize, I should have asked, do we have military spouses and service members in the audience? Anybody know? Okay, I only ask because I do give different advice to military spouses, but I won't bore you guys if we're all service members here. So the best number of titles, I will answer it as far as your open to work goes. So when you do your open to work wizard, I say use everything they give you. So that's 5 titles. If there are 5 titles that you're really interested in, for instance, I always use HR. That could be HR consultant, business partner, manager. That's so many titles that could be very, very similar. Go ahead and put them up there. Basically, make sure it makes sense. There's a pattern. It's clear who you are and that you at least have an idea of what you want to do post-military. And I do have your profile up. Oh, and look, I have screen share ability. All right. Is there anything in particular you would like me to look at on your profile, Stephen? Okay. Okay, so first thing I see, if you guys look at this profile, you're going to see the box, the square first. This is called an intro card. You're going to see a headline underneath the names. Underneath the name. Above that, you see his profile picture. Above that, you see the banner, or you might hear it called a billboard. That billboard is called such because it is a great opportunity to show people who you are in the professional space. So, Stephen, your billboard doesn't tell me anything. If I'm going to be really, really creative, I'm going to say, are you going into like Dominion Energy? Excuse me, are you a light bulb enthusiast? Because I see a lot of lights, right? But I'm being really, really creative here. So I just want to see something about you. I think it's great that you put this up, probably because you didn't want that gray box, right? But the gray box at least is a blank slate. If you put up a picture that anybody else can put up, and you'll notice that LinkedIn does give us a lot of those pictures, then you don't stand out. And you are marketing yourself against all of your competition on this platform. So the next thing is your profile picture, which is nice. I can see that you're in a suit and tie, which is, I'm going to assume that is the industry you want to go into, corporation. Let me ask you that first. What are you going into, Stephen?
Yeah, so going into business development and sales. So obviously, and I think right there, I'm, trying to just be not, conservative, not flashy, not too much. But
Well, let me ask you, is flashy part of your personality?
No.
Okay.
I'm very outgoing. I'm outgoing, but I'm trying to, a very professional, very conservative professional look there.
Okay. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it at all. The reason I asked, just so everyone knows, that's one of the things you're going to hear me say a lot, personality, because there's no one else like you. So if you really are a flashy person in your private life, I don't see anything wrong with throwing a little bit of that in there. If you look at my profile, you'll see that I'm wearing leopard print, which most people would probably tell you to wear some kind of plain color, blue, black. That's not me. Leopard print, bright, flashy, being the most recognizable one in the crowd, that's definitely me. So there was no way I was going to follow that rule. That would be against my personality. And I feel that that would be dishonest. So that's
But you were also saying so I have a picture of my home city back there. That's
Okay.
why I have that. But I guess that I'm getting, hey, I could try to find something outside of the box to mix that up to tell a little bit better of a story than just I'm out doing work at night or something.
So you also could just add a little bit to this. You can take this
Okay.
picture over to say Canva or Publisher and add a tagline that means something to you or your name and contact information. You can also explain your picture in your about section. So the about section, in the first 4 lines, you really want to grab my attention. And often I do see a banner that is interesting, but doesn't necessarily make sense to me. And I love it when my clients then explain, this is why this picture is a representation of me. Like you said, it's your hometown. As far as your picture goes, so here's something that a lot of service members run into. Y'all got to smile. It's not your DA photo. We got to smile. So try to smile in your picture. And even if you don't have a professional picture taken, remove the background. Put your picture then onto a professional background, which would be like a gray or a black or a white or transparent, whatever it is you want, and then slap it up there, but definitely smile. All right, so your headline, those are the words below your name. The additional things I would like to see here is the keyword veteran. I'm sure as part of 7 Eagle Group, you guys have learned that there are people who are paid to source for veterans. Well, guess what? They do that using a keyword search, veteran. You don't have to say Navy veteran, Marine veteran. You can, but if you're short on space, you have, I believe, 300 characters here. Veteran is good. Again, if we have mil spouses in the audience, same thing. I would like to see mil spouse, vet spouse, military spouse. There are people who source for us as well. I would like to see.
I have a question for you. Sorry to interrupt you, Jennifer. Just on that note, I had a question. So a lot of us are in the middle of transitioning out, so we're not actually out yet. Is it good to just go ahead and put that in your block, like going ahead and calling yourself a veteran, even though you might be on active duty still, or what would you recommend?
So either is totally fine. For recruiters, it is a little easier if you call yourself a transitioning service member. That's a lot of characters. You can also put up veteran skill bridge, say SB and a date, FTE, which would be full-time employment, and a date. Recruiters will know what that means when you're available. And if you've got dates up there, obviously you're transitioning. So the keyword veteran is the most important to get them to you, but you always want to get them to have a conversation with you. So if you have the space for transitioning, go for it. If you're really, really comfortable with that, and I'll be honest, a lot of people are only comfortable with the absolute truth, go for it. Good question.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Absolutely. The reason I want to see your clearance, and I know this probably scares some people, but your clearance is money. Don't cost yourself money by not telling people you have a clearance, by not getting cleared again before you get out. I'm sorry, I just totally lost my words. I want to say re-upping your clearance, but I know that's not right. The reason for that is companies are looking for cleared talent. It is very unlikely that they will sponsor a clearance because it's so expensive and so time consuming. However, once you're hired, they will, again, lost my words, they will re-up your clearance. They just did this for my husband who works for khaki. I want you to put your clearance up there because it is not classified information that you have a clearance. So you're not breaking any rules by putting your clearance up there, but the recruiters are searching for veteran cleared, veteran TSSCI, veteran TS, things like that. I would like to see all of the titles that you are looking for. So if there are more than business consultant and account manager, or if there's a specific industry that you're really interested in, I'd like to see that up here. Because business consultant and account manager is very broad. Are you willing to work in entertainment and finance? Are you willing to work overseas? Try to be a little more detailed, but you don't have to pin it down to the exact title at the exact company at the exact city. You don't have to be that detailed. I would like to see if you speak any additional languages in your headline. Your metropolitan area underneath should be, your metropolitan area should be your largest city. So for you, that's going to be Baltimore, Washington, D.C. This is kind of a security thing because you don't necessarily need to put up your exact city, but it's also because recruiters use the larger area to find you. They don't use the smaller cities only because they don't usually know the smaller cities around the metro area. Excuse me. Finally, try to make sure that your headline tells the same story that your banner is telling. So if Stephen wants to leave up the picture of his hometown, but he adds a little bit to it, say he adds certifications he holds, or he adds the titles he's looking for, then we tell the same story. That is the other thing I would like to see. Relevant certifications and degrees. Relevant means that it is relevant to what you are looking towards, what your target is post-military. You may have lots and lots of certifications, and they're great, and I hope that you put them in your certification section of your profile, but up here, only the relevant ones. Okay, so you don't have your open to work up yet, so I'm gonna open up another one and show you what that looks like. And I don't mind at all if you guys just jump in when you have
I
questions.
actually, I'm making edits as we speak. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm changing the open to work, and I'm changing like the city and all that stuff. So, starting to make some changes.
What do you have the drama heads on yours for?
Because I call myself a storyteller.
Oh, okay.
No, that's a great question, Wendy. I think you're the only one to ever ask me that, and I appreciate it very much. I always appreciate when someone has clearly looked at my profile and paid attention and asked me a question like that. That's a pro tip, actually. That's a great way to reach out to recruiters. Treat them as a human. Show them that you took interest in them by asking a question like that. So my computer is freaking out at me because I have 1,001 things open, so I'm trying to close some things here quickly. Hopefully this notice will go away. I'm sure you can see how many tabs I have open. All right, go away. Okay, so all I want you to see here on mine is the open to work wizard. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to do this on Stephen's anyway. To do your open to work, you're going to click right here. This blue button says open to. I'm going to click finding a new job. So I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. My dogs are freaking out outside the office. The first thing
you're fine. Hey, wait. Go back. Go back. Say it again.
Absolutely. So underneath where you see, okay, my name, my headline, I have creator mode on, which is why you see these extra things here. Talks about veterans networks, and I have this extra link right here. If you choose to turn on creator mode, the biggest difference is that you will get more followers than connections, which can make it difficult when you're actually looking for someone because you can't search your followers. I like creator mode because I want this extra information up here. And I'm sorry, Stephen.
Wait, what mode? What mode would you say?
Creator mode.
Show me.
See where it says resources right here?
Yeah, turn
and then it says creator mode on.
What does that do?
So what that does is it gives you a couple of extra tools. It gives you access to LinkedIn newsletters, LinkedIn Live, and LinkedIn Audio, which is like a podcast. So you can hold your own podcasts. But it also changes. So when you look at my profile, let's see, on here, when I look at your profile, I see this connect button. But when you look at my profile, you will see follow instead of connect. You'll have to take an extra step. You'll have to go to this more right here, and connect will be in here. So what that does is grows my follower base and it prompts people to follow me more than make a direct connection with me. Does that make sense? That helps
You
me.
just taught me something very new.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad. That's my favorite thing to hear. That helps me because when the algorithm sees that people outside of my network, so my second, my third plus connections are commenting on something I've put up, it thinks that my content is important and it bumps it up in visibility. So strategically, that is why I chose to be on creator mode. However, I also wanted that additional, like I wanted that link there that takes you to my YouTube channel. And I wanted the hashtags that I talk about, so I don't necessarily have to have them in my headline, giving me extra space. It's all a strategic move. Okay, so the open to button is right underneath the number of followers and connections that I have. So it's going to be the same for you. It's going to be under your connections. Just give me a thumbs up if you found it. Stephen, if you don't see the open to finding a new job, do you see a gray box?
I'm behind. I'm trying to do
Okay.
3 things at once.
You're totally fine.
Yeah, open to, I'm watching, go. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay, open to finding a new job.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I already
You're gonna
did
put in
that. Keep going.
5 titles. So you already have this open? You have this done?
Yeah, I did do that. Yes, I
Okay.
did.
Here's the reason I can't see it. You have
I haven't
chosen
edited it.
at the very bottom, see where it says choose who sees your open? Stephen has
Yes.
chosen recruiters only.
Okay.
What that means is that only people who have access to LinkedIn Recruiter, a fabulous but expensive tool, can see that you are open to work.
All right, well, so that's not good.
Yes, I'm not a fan of that because most people don't have access to it. Even when I worked for the state of Virginia, I didn't have access for it. I was offered a full stack, a full desk recruiting job the other day. That's pretty high. I'd be recruiting candidates and businesses, and I still wouldn't have access to it because it's so expensive. So you're really limiting yourself. If you choose all LinkedIn members, you will get that green frame that says open to work. You will get visibility to everyone, which means when Wendy goes to your profile, she will be able to see that you're open to work, and she will be able to see that gray box that you see now with all of your information in there. That's really helpful to people like me in the space. I can look and see what you're open to, where you want to go, what you're looking for, so I can remember to tag you in opportunities that I see or make an introduction to people who might have that opportunity. Okay, so
I got that. I fixed that. I fixed it.
Yay, great job.
Try again.
So there's a rule applied in this wizard. You're going to do 5 titles. You're going to do 5 locations. You're going to do 5 remote locations. If you're not sure about titles, simply click this box and start typing something. I started typing human. I get a drop-down box. LinkedIn gives me all sorts of titles to choose from, so I don't have to come up with them myself. I would say, and this goes along with Marlena's question, put immediate that you are actively applying. Even if you're in transition, even if you are way ahead of the game and you've got 24 months left, the reason for this is that you want people to come to you and talk to you. The best thing you can do is get people to a conversation so they can start to get to know you. If you're 24 months out, if you're 6 months out, that's okay. You want them to know who you are, what you're about, what you bring. You want them to put you in their pipeline and keep you top of mind when they're talking to their other recruiter buddies. Jesse, you came off mute. Did you have a question?
Oh, yeah. When I click open to, it's not showing the hiring section. It just shows, well, it's just hiring and providing services, not open to work.
Okay, so Jesse, what that means is that you already have it turned on. So look below that for a gray box.
Open to work?
Yep. And
Got it.
click the little pencil to the right.
All right, click the pencil.
And now you'll get the wizard.
Awesome, thank you. You said
You're
5 jobs? 5 job titles?
Yes, 5.
Awesome, perfect, thank you.
Change it as often as you want, but 5 is the max, so definitely use 5. All right.
Jennifer,
Yes.
also earlier, did you recommended staying in creator mode, correct?
Not necessarily. This is really a very personal choice. It is strategic and makes sense for me, but for you, chances are creator mode will not make sense. You want connections. You want people to reach out to you directly. And bonus, when they reach out to you and you get a connection request, guess what? They automatically follow you. All right, so your about section, Stephen, and I'm sorry, before I go on, any other questions about the intro card? I harp on that one so much because this is where your most important information should go. Chances are no one will ever see anything else from your profile. So your about section. Sorry, Stephen, did you have a question?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Will you go back in there so you can see it cleaned up? Because I've done things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, do that. There you go.
Very nice.
All right, so change the titles. Got the thing. I opened it up. You should be able to see the stuff now, and also what. So I think I think the one thing I did not do was that picture in the background. Like,
that's okay.
I like it, but I'm willing to make it better.
It is very unlikely that anyone is going to judge you for your picture unless you put up something really inappropriate. I just use it because I have a marketing brain and I know that what we're doing is marketing ourselves. So I want to use every single visual space that LinkedIn gives me. And this is the first one. So I noticed you put up security clearance. That's totally fine. I know that not everybody is comfortable putting up what their security clearance is. So if you want to put up security clearance, active security clearance, cleared, recruiters are probably going to use all of those terms to find you. And that's a great way to get people to come to you and ask you the question, which is your ultimate goal. Get them to come to you and talk to you. Great job. So now you guys can see that I see this gray box underneath where, excuse me, where the connect used to be, connect and message. So now because Stephen has chosen, that everyone on LinkedIn can see that he's open to work, now I see everything that he dropped into that wizard. All right, so he turned on creator mode. You'll notice that all of a sudden his profile has been rearranged. It used to be that his about section was right at the top. Now his activity section comes up. So because he's on creator mode, I'm going to show you mine again. I'm going to recommend featured section. This is not a default section. So to add this section, you're going to go up here where it says add profile section, right underneath my dashboard where you see a tiny, tiny picture of me. You're going to click on recommended, and here's your featured section. Here's what I love about the featured section. You notice it is very, very close to the top of my profile. It's very close to my intro card. When you go to my profile, you're going to see this right away. And my featured section in particular, bless you, Marlena, is very colorful. And it used to be that these were GIFs, and so they moved all the time. But you'll see that these are posts. So I didn't even create extra media to go in here. I just simply added my posts. I added the most important information about me. And what's really important about me is that I create training videos for y'all. Well, I want you to be able to find them, so they're right here at the top. From your point of view, what I might want to see from you are your very valuable certifications. You've put them in your headline, great. Now show off your certification. Put your actual certificate in the picture box of a post, and now tell me a story about that. Tell me what you learned. Tell me what was really difficult to get over. Tell me what you
Can you
helped
go
somebody
back?
else
Can you
learn.
go back and show me how I don't see that add profile section. I don't see that on mine.
So Stephen, if you're at the very top of your profile, if you're in the
Yeah.
intro card, you're going to see it there next to open to. As I
there
scroll
it is.
down, it moves to be.
And it's okay, add recommended. Is that what I'm doing? Wait, which one am I doing?
Yep, recommended.
Okay. Okay, and then what?
And then featured section.
Add featured.
There you go.
Okay, and then hit plus.
Yep.
Plus. Okay.
So now
I,
this is what Stephen is looking
and
at.
I
He
can
hit plus.
find it, right?
And he can add a post, a newsletter, an article, a link, a media. So think about maybe a program you created and you want to add a video about that. Or maybe you have a website that you want to drive people to. This would be useful for people with a portfolio, graphic designers. You might want to drive them that way. Maybe you're a writer, whether it's on this platform, another platform, or your own platform. Drop it in here. All right, I'm going to look at your about section, Stephen, and give you some tips. And then I think somebody else asked, Larissa. Larissa, will you drop your URL and I'll pop over to yours?
Yes, I'll do that right now.
Thanks, honey. Okay, so Stephen, I see 3 lines of your about section. I don't have the option of hitting see more because you don't have any more lines. This is a very large section, and this section is where I really want to learn about you. I've gone over to mine again just to give you the alternative. When you have the entire section fleshed out, you're going to see the first 4 lines only. Those 4 lines are very important, excuse me, because you've got to give people a reason to click on see more. So I'm a very sarcastic person. So without using language that comes naturally out of my mouth, I put up a little bit of sarcasm to get people to click on see more and figure out, well, what is she going to do? Then I really dive into what I have done, what I do now, why you can rest assured and trust me, you can feel safe in my hands. That's very much part of my brand. And that is what you're doing here. You are fleshing out your brand. Okay, so here's one of those scary words, personal branding. Personal branding just means, what do I want them to think of when they think of me? So when they think of me, I hope people think of the military spouse who understands LinkedIn and loves to teach about it. The military spouse with bright red hair, I get that comment all the time. That's fine, that's part of my brand. As long as it's not the military spouse who has a really bad attitude and is no fun to be around, I've probably branded myself well. Now, the way you figure out how you've branded yourself or what your brand is now, talk to people. Talk to people in your life. What do they think of when they think of you? What skills do they attribute to you? What stories come to mind first when they think of you?
Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that you can do more than 3 lines. You can really elaborate on who am I, what am I, you know, what do you need to think of me, what makes me unique, just A lot of who, what, when, where, why, so what, all through
Yes.
through that.
Yes, so what? Who are you and why do I care? Exactly. And the reason for that, remember, they're considering adding you to their network, adding you to their team. So this is your chance to introduce yourself, to get to know the other person, them to get to know you before you even get to the interview. And
Appreciate it.
absolutely. Thanks, Larissa. All right, let's go have a look at Larissa's real fast. Okay, Larissa, are you going into cyber?
I'm trying to.
Okay, that's fine. That's great. I got that from your banner. The fact that I got
Sweet.
that in less than 2 seconds means your banner is definitely on the right track. It was either cyber or the Matrix, but I figured it was probably not the Matrix.
I mean, it's both. If you read my little description about me at the very, very bottom, it says stuff about the Matrix.
Does it? I think that's great. It's a fantastic movie. All right, so I see a very lovely profile picture. I see smiling. Yay! I see that you've turned on your open to work wizard. You have secret clearance, IT, which matches your banner. Perfect. Digital marketing, SEO, cybersecurity, Army veteran. Perfect. Let's see. You have Columbia, South Carolina. I am terrible at geography. Is that the largest city near you?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
perfect.
where literally Fort Jackson is at.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm seriously terrible.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
if that's
the
your
biggest
metro,
city.
then you did good. All right.
Okay.
Let's take a look here. Open to work wizard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very good. Okay. So this one confuses me. Diesel technician.
Yeah,
And
that's what I did with the Army.
okay, honey, but is that what you want to do post Army?
No.
Okay, so you don't need to have it in there. So I always
All
use
right.
myself as an example, right? So I'm a certified dog trainer. And while I'm very, very happy to help my friends train their dogs, I don't want people reaching out to me to be a dog trainer. I don't want to be in applied behavior analysis. I've done that before too. So I only want to see who you want to be now, because you don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste anybody else's time either. So if you're going into IT, that's who you are. You don't have to apologize to anybody and go, well, I'm working on it, or I'm almost there. Or no, that's your path. Put up those titles.
Okay.
All right, so you put up all 3 workplaces, great. So job locations, it makes sense to put up United States, right? That should cover everything. Unfortunately, what that actually covers is only jobs that are posted in a physical location, United States. That doesn't mean that if it's in Cincinnati, United States, it's gonna pop up for you. So when
Okay.
you look at a job description, you'll notice sometimes it says a very specific location. Sometimes it says a specific location, remote. Sometimes it'll just say US. You need to have specific locations in here.
Okay, so when I was trying to do that, it didn't let me do that. It only had like North America, United States, New Zealand, Australia. Like, I didn't have like where I can make it into specific like location areas.
Let me look at this. Sometimes they do change things. Okay, add location. You're in Columbia. So this doesn't come up for you.
No, it doesn't. What the heck? Why is it working for you, not for me?
I don't know. Sometimes I will tell you, LinkedIn really does have an attitude. Sometimes you got to refresh the page.
Okay.
But this is the way it should look.
Okay, dokies. I'll go back to that and I'll change it.
Okay. Same thing with your remote locations. So here's the reason you have to put in remote locations. When someone adds a job to LinkedIn Jobs, they have to put in a physical location, even if the job is 100% remote. So you'll notice that a lot of the jobs you're looking at might be in a certain location. So again, being strategic, think about those locations and put those up here. Start
right.
date immediate, very good. Great job. Oh, I like the way you're very friendly right away in your about section.
Cool.
Security clearance. Oh, I like the way you put Excel spreadsheets in here. That is one of the top things that I get job notifications for because I passed an assessment for that. Training, managing, treating, that's great. So what you've done here, you really dropped a lot of keywords in here. Great job, because your about section is more heavily indexed by search engines than any other section, which is also why you're going to spend the most time on this section.
Okay.
Oops, anything. Oh, I love that you put this here. However, I really want to see these powerful certifications up here, almost like that's part of your name.
Yeah. So the reason I haven't put them up there is because I should have them complete by the end of this month.
That's fine.
Okay.
Remember, you're getting people to come to you and ask a question. So you simply say that, yeah, I'm finishing it up at the end of this month.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And your PMP, want to see that up there? Great job. Nice. Also see for myself. Great job. This, you obviously put a lot of work into that. Very good. And I think, oh, good job. Okay, so I love that you put up a post that is an original post. It's all you. You didn't share anything. The only thing you could have added to this, Larissa, is a picture of your certificate. And the reason for this is we're very visual people. Okay, that's why I have the bright red hair and wear the bright red lipstick. And that's why you see my background the way it is, right? I want to be the center of your attention. Well, you want to be the center of your network's attention too. Always use the photo box when you are adding something. And here's what that looks like in case that doesn't make sense. I'm going to go home.
Okay.
I'm going to go right up here, start a post. And LinkedIn is going to ask me if I want to add anything to my post. So maybe I want to add a photo, a video, a document. Always do that, because then your post will look more like this, that catches my eye, or as my buddy Gary, than something that's just words. And we're lazy. I'm super lazy and I scroll past words all the time.
Okay. Yeah, so whenever I took that PMP, fundamentals for PMP, once I completed that course, it said like, oh, you can share this on LinkedIn. And I tried doing that, and apparently it didn't post the certification along with it. So I gotta go back and tweak with that.
Okay. It did not post it. Did I just click? Yeah, I did. Okay.
I didn't post my certification picture when I tried sharing my thing.
Education, was it right here? Fundamentals of Agile Project Management.
Yes, both of those. They didn't like put the pictures up there with my names or anything.
That's weird.
I don't even think
Yes.
I don't think my digital marketing did it either.
Yeah, that's annoying. Okay, so that's a great tip. So make sure, this is for everyone, when you are posting something like that, because it will ask you that question, make sure that it's popping up. If it's not popping up with a picture, chances are you're not going to see it. You probably have to download the certificate and then add it as a picture or document.
Okay.
So that's fine, Larissa. Just tell us again.
All right.
All right, Mark, we have a couple more minutes, so I'm going to take a look at yours. Mark, are you going into bioscience, bioengineering, fighting COVID?
Yes.
Yay. Okay. Guess what? I got that from your banner. So great job. And it matches your headline. Perfect. That looks fantastic. You've got your open to work done. Same thing. Make sure your locations are specific. If you guys want United States to be one of your 5, that's fine. But be more specific, only because you don't limit yourself on who can find you. All right. So you guys notice Mark does not have an about section. That's because it's not a default section. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it. But again, you're costing yourself a lot when it comes to search engines. So Mark, if and when you are ready to add a about section, you're going to do the same thing that Stephen did. You're going to go to add profile section and find about. Your experience looks great. I love the way it's threaded like this. The only thing is you want to tell me a little bit more about what you did here. Now, you don't have to put everything up here that you put in your resume. I don't think you necessarily should put everything up because your resume should be tailored anyway. But you want to put up enough of your metrics and accomplishments so that I can see, yep, Mark really has the experience that I at least want to talk to him. Plus, everything that is in text in your profile is searchable. So again, don't cost yourself the opportunity. Make sure you're dropping those keywords and those accomplishments into the experience section. Your education looks great. Mark, one of the things I love that you did is that you made sure your icons for your education popped up. This is a marketing trick. The reason for this is, remember I said we're visual people? If I happen to go to Texas Tech, I probably didn't read these words, but I saw my alma mater's logo right here. That's enough for me to reach out to Mark. And by the way, people can search for you based on the schools you went to. All right, you guys seriously are doing a really good job. We only have a couple more minutes, so I want to answer any last minute questions you have. No questions?
Hey, thank you, Jennifer. It was really like an eye-opening for all of us, and I'm speaking for myself, but at the same time, you really help us all on tweaking out because I know me, I'm a newbie, and I don't know what I'm doing in LinkedIn on how to do the whole thing, make it like a pro. So yeah, you walk us through like a step by step, and grading the whole thing out. And yeah, the whole thing, I just did it now. The whole or the headline page. As you go, I just created them because before it was like, kind of like a crappy headline that you're not going to pay attention to.
That's great. Mark, thank you so much. I really appreciate your feedback. And I'm glad you were able to make real-time changes.
Also,
So
I just figured out. I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
Larissa,
I just
go ahead.
figured
No,
out
no.
why my locations were showing like the limited amount is because I did it through my mobile phone app instead of my computer. So yeah, apparently your phone limits you on your LinkedIn.
It does. It
I just
really does.
figured that
That is
out.
another great tip for everyone. Yes, if you do things through mobile, you are going to have a very different experience. Unfortunately, it's not as robust an experience.
Yeah, because I'm always on the go. I'm always running around with my phone. I'm always active on LinkedIn and everything. So everything I do is usually just off my phone.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Most of us do the same thing, and we do run into problems like that. So great. I'm glad you solved that problem. Okay, well, I dropped my URL into the chat. You guys, please feel free to connect with me, follow me, whichever you prefer to do. There is a lot of information on my page to give you additional tips and tricks to help you get to the next stage of your journey. Otherwise, thank you very, very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you
Hey,
so
thanks
much,
so much,
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
I already sent
Absolutely,
you a message.
anytime. Oh, good. I can't wait. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Those were two good speakers, I think. Hope you enjoyed and learned something. I know I've been editing my LinkedIn profile as we were discussing everything. I hope everybody else was too. So yeah, enjoy your weekend. There was an email sent out to everybody in the cloud, and I got your response, Kwanzi. Thank you. If you did not submit your the documentation to show your separation date officially, Mark is requiring that for his cohort. I'm not sure why. It must have something to do. Maybe they have some back-end funding from the government or something. I'm not sure, but they need some kind of official documentation for that. So get that in if you haven't. Otherwise, if you're in the cloud cohort, good luck. We'll see you around. If you'll be back Monday, I'll see you Monday. Okay.
What did y'all use?
I just sent my
Show data.
a working copy of my my DD 214 because it had my service date in it, and I had a working copy, or I was gonna maybe give my SRB as well, but I just gave him a working copy of my 214. I kind of got it said like worksheet. It's not the official one, but it has all my information on it. I don't know. I mean,
I
my
don't either. I
question
was
is,
thinking I have like my retirement orders, but I wasn't
well,
sure if
maybe
that would work.
SRV would work, or retirement orders, but did anyone get a link to how we're actually supposed to start on Monday?
No.
That was my question. Like, we sent all the stuff in, we start on Monday, but I don't know when, where, how. I didn't get a link.
We're gonna start at 5. Remember, he said it's from 5 to 7 on Monday.
Yeah.
Like mentorship, but he didn't send a link of how we're gonna talk to everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and that time is kind of I guess he said anywhere from like 5 to 7. I don't know. I just wanted some more detail. I just thought I sent him an email a few hours ago about
He sent
like
me an email yesterday about an interview.
how we're gonna start, I guess. An interview.
Yeah.
I use my terminal leave just in case, because in
Yeah, he said, let me talk to a few people and see if there's an opportunity for an interview. I don't know why he said that. I was confused.
Now I'm really confused.
Recommend this course to anyone who's
Hire me, sure, but I didn't know that we were doing interviews for it.
For like, you had to like speak a specific language, right? Because like,
Well, he was requesting people who had an additional language. If you, I believe some of the language were like Arabic, Urdu, Farsi.
Yeah, the
If you-
languages that they had on there, like I speak Russian, but they didn't have Russian as an option, so I didn't respond to it.
So when you upload your application on that like paperclip, mine I uploaded the resume and my SRB, and on my resume bottom part, or like in my resume, it includes the language or additional language, including the DLPT. I guess that's the one way also that you can go through with it, put in your resume. That's why after that one, kind of like I was surprised that he replied that if you have additional language, we're looking. So kind of like best market your skills out there. So just in case you're gonna be set up. Just in case if you have language, then put it out there on your resume. That's how I did it.
Also, heads up, today was my last day with y'all because I gotta go back to work on Monday to clear and I'm out.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Are you gonna do
Yeah.
the cloud cohort? I guess you're not doing the cloud cohort or not, or
I'm gonna see if I can still do that. I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can still do that.
you probably could just
Congratulations.
based on the hours, it's
Yeah.
5 to 7.
Yeah. Okay.
It almost looks like we
yeah.
could still do Seven Eagle in that.
Yeah,
No.
I'm still gonna log in with y'all and stuff. Just you guys probably just won't see me on Monday because I gotta be back at Shaw and stuff.
I
And
know,
doing
Brandon,
PT
if I was
because
in
they're gonna make me do PT.
Oh my.
Oh yeah. All right, welcome to Shaw Air Force Base, y'all. But yeah, I gotta go do this for like out process for 10 days and then go on my little terminal leave. So yeah, I'll still try to get on and see what else I can learn.
Well, good luck, Larissa. Stay in contact with us, okay?
Oh yeah, of course, y'all.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah,
No
so
Niners.
if we don't get an email by like this weekend or Monday, do you want us to just hop on Monday?
That's my plan. If I don't get an email about when to start the cohort, then
Yeah.
I'll be
If not,
here on
hop in
Monday.
Monday.
JP, I'll be here on Monday.
Sounds good. Yeah, just check. Yeah, if you haven't got the information email, the issue is, Mark's communicating everything with Brenna. Brenna's not here. And oh, you know what? Let me stop this recording real quick. But yeah, so the communication flow has been a little bit rough. But I've been trying to fill in